Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name, please?
It's Nicholas Kolokithas, Kolokithas.
You live, sir.
Canton.
How long have you lived?
21 years.
Who, if anyone, do you live in Canton?
My wife and 2 children.
What is your wife's name?
Karina.
Are your 2 children how old?
18 and 16.
Are they both girls?
Yes.
Do you work, sir?
Yes, I do.
What do you do?
I'm an attorney.
How long have you been practicing as an attorney?
27 years. Yes, she does.
And what do you do?
She's a pharmacist.
If I could turn your attention to the evening of January 28, 2022. Do you recall that day?
Yes, I do.
Were you working that day?
I was.
Were you working in the office or remotely?
We were hybrid. I was working remote that day.
As far as that evening was concerned, what, if anything, were the plans and what did you do that evening?
Sure. My older daughter was on the Canton High basketball team, so we were planning to go. I was planning to go to a basketball game, and I did go to a basketball game, yes.
And where was the basketball game? Recall?
Canton High School.
Your daughter at that point, which team did she play?
She was coming off an injury, and she was playing for both the JV and the varsity team.
So she was sort of between JV and varsity?
Correct.
So what time were each of the games that evening?
God, I think the JV was around 5 or so, and the varsity 6:30, 6:45.
Do you recall who they were playing?
Foxborough High.
When you arrived to the game, as far as where is it that you typically sit when you go to a basketball game?
There was a group of 5 parents or so, including us. We generally sat together most of the games.
Who, if anyone else, was among those parents who sat?
Specifically, Abe's the Gerald Galleries and Tom Beatty.
These are people you know as parents of other children that are on the team?
Yes.
As far as, is that who you sat with on this occasion, if you recall?
I believe so.
Your wife, did she come to one or both games?
She came to the second game, the varsity game.
But what time did that game get over?
The varsity game, it went into overtime. It was a back and forth game. Later than usual. I don't remember the exact time.
One?
We lost. Foxborough won.
Following the basketball game, where did you go from there?
As usual, we waited for our players to come out, our daughters to come out, and the same group of parents were deciding if we should continue, go out somewhere, get something to eat. I was hungry. Anybody who knows me doesn't get between me and my food, so I was very hungry, so wanted to get something to eat.
Where did you decide to go?
Went to the waterfall.
Is that somewhere that you had been before?
Yes.
With regard to the waterfall, as far as the other parents were concerned, what if any other parents were the ones that you described, as far as the ones you sit with, and with anyone else?
Jennifer and Matt McCabe.
How was that communicated to you, as far as a person, via text, phone, or how did you come to the waterfall?
It was via text.
So you get a text from who specifically directing you to sort of go to the waterfall?
So it was a group text amongst the 5 sets of families, and different ideas were bantered about in the group text, and I decided to go to the waterfall.
And when you get to the waterfall, being familiar with the establishment, where is it that you park in reference to the waterfall?
I parked behind Washington Street. There's a small little parking lot. Waterfall shares a parking lot with other establishments, and I believe condos, so I parked in the back.
What time did you get there?
I got there right around 9-ish, a little bit before 9 o'clock.
With anyone else from that group of parents besides yourself in the case went to the waterfall that night?
So I walked in, there was a large table, probably about 8 to 10 feet long. In addition to Jen and Matt McCabe, there was Jen's sister, Nicole Albert, her husband, Brian Albert, Brian's brother, Chris Albert, and his wife, Julie, and there were others that I was just introduced to for the first time, so I don't remember their name, I don't recall their names, but they were others at the table as well.
So as far as the other sort of basketball parents, were any of them there as well, beyond the McCabe?
Beyond the McCabe, no.
As far as the other people who didn't have the last name McCabe, how did you know any of those? Or did you know any of those?
At the waterfall?
Yes.
I had met Nicole, Brian, Chris, and Julie prior, I think, other basketball games, other events, so I knew them through McCabe's, through Jen.
The McCabe's had daughter on the basketball team as well?
They had one, yes.
When it came to McCabe's, there's Mr. and Mrs., what are their names?
Jennifer and Matt McCabe.
How long have you known Jennifer and Matt?
About 9 or 10 years ago we met.
At some point during the course of the evening, did your wife join you at the waterfall as well?
She did.
Fair to say you took separate cars, is that correct?
We did, yes.
About how long after you arrived did your wife join you?
I want to say it was about a half hour or so. So around 9:30 she arrived.
With reference to this table that you were referencing, about 8 to 10 feet long, is that correct?
Correct.
Was this a high top, low top, what kind of table is that?
It was a high top table towards the bar end of Waterfall. I don't know if it was the last table or second to last table right before you hit the bar.
And as far as the people that you described, the people that you knew or didn't know, where were they sort of situated around the table?
When I first walked in, I saw Matt, since he was the person I was most familiar with, Matt and Jen. Matt was standing towards the right side of the table as you're walking in towards the right side, so I went to the right side of the table.
Is that essentially where you stayed for the balance of most of the night?
Yes.
Wife, when she arrived, where did she go in reference?
Initially, she came to me, said hello. I think she picked for my food, and she gravitated, I believe, towards the left side of the table where more of the women were located.
At some point following that, was there anyone else that you knew or aware of that came into the bar?
Yes.
Time was it?
Shortly before 11, or right around 11,
Who was it?
it was John O'Keefe and Karen Read.
Are these people that you were familiar with prior to that day?
Yes,
Just to be clear, we're talking about Karen Read. You seen this Read in today?
I do.
Describe this as to where she's seated or not, or she's wearing?
She's seated at the table to my right, second person in from the right.
That's a record of identification of the kind of. How did you know John O'Keefe?
John O'Keefe had adopted his niece and nephew. His niece is the same age as my younger daughter. They were playing basketball together. They've been friends for years. So I got to know John through my daughter.
As far as Ms. Read, when was it that you met her, or when was it that you came sort of where?
Sure. I believe it was towards the end of the summer of 2020. I dropped my daughter off at John's place on Meadows. Karen was there. It was the first time I met her. That was 2020.
With reference to yourself and your wife as a couple, and Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Read, how often would you?
As couples, not too often. I would see John on a weekly basis during the basketball season, sometimes multiple times a week during the basketball season. But as couples, maybe a couple of times we had seen them.
So fair to say most of your interaction with them would be at sort of sporting events or things.
Yes,
Now, as far as on that evening, obviously you went out, so you had something to eat. Did you have anything to drink as well?
I did.
And do you recall what you were drinking that night?
Captain and Coke.
As far as John O'Keefe, do you recall what he was drinking that night?
Yes.
If anything, do you recall?
Beer.
Is that sort of typical for Mr. O'Keefe?
From the occasions we happen to be out on events like that, yes.
As far as Ms. Reed, what if anything did you observe her to be drinking at that waterfall?
She was holding a cup, a glass with a clear liquid.
What was your understanding of what was in the cup of clear liquid?
I don't know what was in there. I don't know if it was water or alcoholic drink, but I don't know for sure.
As far as the general demeanor and atmosphere within the bar that night, how would you describe that?
Generally, it was a fun atmosphere. It was a live band. Everybody was in a good mood. People were singing to some of the music, so it was a fun atmosphere.
Specifically, you didn't observe anything as far as arguing or anything between Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Reed, is that correct?
That is correct. I did not.
You didn't observe anything as far as arguing or anything between anyone at the bar that night, is that correct?
That is correct. I did not.
Mr. O'Keefe was concerned, do you recall what he was wearing when he was in the bar?
Yes, he had a dark baseball cap, jeans, sneakers, and he had some type of top, a longer sleeve top.
At any point in time, did you observe him to have a winter coat or jacket or anything like that?
Not that I recall.
As far as his clothing was concerned, what, if anything, did you observe as far as the condition? That would have been tears or anything in his clothing?
No tears, nothing unusual about the clothing.
As far as Mr. O'Keefe himself, what, if any, injuries did you observe on him at the
I
time?
didn't observe any injuries.
As far as prior to them coming into the waterfall, do you have any idea where they were coming from?
Yes, I did.
How did you know?
I knew through Matt McCabe. Matt had said that they were at Waterfall at CF McCarthy's, and they were heading over. We had a live band, and they were coming over to our place.
As far as the live band was concerned, about how loud was it in the waterfall during that time?
It was fairly loud.
Towards the end of the night, what if any discussion did you observe or were you a part of as far as
Again, we were at this larger 8, almost 10-foot table. Most of the discussion was happening towards the other side of the table, but there were a couple of places that people were discussing about going, potentially going. One was two D&Es, which was across the street next to CF McCarthy's, and the other one was 34 Fairview Road. Yes, I am. It's basically a sub shop, pizza shop. It's diagonally across the street from Waterfall.
What if any relationship did the D&E Pizza have to anyone that you observed in the group?
Chris Albert, who was with the group, was one of the owners, if not the owner of D&E.
As far as going to that place afterward, who, if anyone among the group, mentioned that or was talking about?
I didn't hear specifically one person. It was just generally coming from the group.
Did you hear the defendant at any point talking about going there or wanting to?
I heard from others that she had mentioned about wanting to go there.
Now, you mentioned a couple of different places. What was the other?
34 Fairview Road.
Was it mentioned specifically as far as that address, or how was it read?
I believe it was mentioned. Brian Albert, the homeowner, had invited the group back to his house. I can't remember if it was come back to my house or come back to 34 Fairview, but that was his residence.
And so was that sort of an open invitation to the group at the table?
Yes.
Yourself and your wife, did either of you go to Fairview Road that night?
We did not.
At some point, you left. You recall about what time that you left the waterfall?
It was shortly after 12 o'clock, maybe 12:10 or so.
When did you leave in reference to the rest of the group?
Sure. Matt and I stayed back a little bit. We helped clean up the table with the bottles and glasses, spoke to the band briefly, told them how well they played. So we were a little bit late, maybe a couple minutes later than the rest of the group.
When you exited, did you know where your wife was?
I did. I knew where she was.
Where was she?
She was parked out front on Washington Street.
So you were parked in the lot and she was parked on Washington Street?
Yes.
And when you came outside, did you observe about the weather or what was going on?
It was very cold. It just started to snow. I don't even think there was a dusting on the ground, or barely a dusting on the ground.
So at that point, could you still sort of splash off on the pavement?
Yes.
When you got to your car, what kind of things did you have to get your car ready to go, clean off the car, or anything like that?
I didn't need a scraper or anything. I just turned on my windshield wipers and it cleaned the snow off.
As far as you mentioned that you and Mr. McCabe was the last to leave from the group, do you know what order sort of the rest of the group had left in?
Generally, yes.
And generally, what you recall?
There was a larger group that left right before us. I believe my wife was part of that group. Jen was in that group, and Karen was in that group.
You mentioned that your wife was gravitated towards the other end of the table where the other women were at. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So who was, as far as the women that you're referencing, who was in that group that your wife was conversing?
I know it was Karen was part of that group, and Jennifer was part of that group as well.
That'd be Jennifer McCabe, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
You're with the court's permission, I'd just like to publish this brief and exhibit for this video. Gentlemen, if I could have the three on screen, and specifically if I could have the second video down. If you could put that at approximately 10:59 p.m. So, Mr. Kolokithas, what's up on screen as Exhibit 53? Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
So, what do you recognize?
It's the entire waterfall bar.
Before you on that desk, I believe there should be a pointer.
Yes.
So if you could just grab that and sort of on top. When I ask you to.
Yes.
So with reference to this video, do you see yourself within this video?
Yes, I do.
You could just draw the jury's attention where you are.
Black and white shirt.
From that specific area where you are, do you recognize anybody else in that sort of general area of the frame?
Yes, I do.
If you could just draw the jury's attention to who do you recognize where they are?
I believe that's Matt McCabe right there to my right, and John O'Keefe to my left, in front of me to my left.
That area of the table where you indicated your wife was with another group of women, further away from you, where would that be?
The numbering is there, so I can't really see, but it was towards this side.
Further down the table, is that where people that you were less familiar with, is that where they were?
Correct, yes.
He's going to meet them. Thanks, sir. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination? Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Kolokithas.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Kolokithas, you and I have never actually met.
We have not.
We've never had a conversation.
Have not.
We've certainly never had an interview about this case.
Have not.
So this is our first time visiting about this situation.
Yes.
When did you say you first met Ms. Read?
I believe it was towards the end of the summer of 2020.
Okay, that was over at an event at
No,
his house?
I don't know if it was John's niece's birthday party or so, but I was dropping my daughter off at John's house.
Okay, that sort of dovetails in my next question. You and your wife and y'all's kids did have some sort of relationship with Mr. O'Keefe, Ms. Read, and Mr. O'Keefe's niece and nephew.
Yes.
In other words, the kids got along well.
Yes, absolutely. And they're still friends.
As the adults, you wanted to make sure that you could facilitate dates, get-togethers, things of that nature for the children.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you remember a situation in which Ms. Read had arranged a relatively elaborate 13th birthday party for Mr. O'Keefe's niece, a scavenger hunt of some sort.
Yes.
I'm going to see counsel sidebar for this, please.
Yeah,
Yes.
with regard to the last question I asked, you recall an event in which Ms. Read had organized a relatively elaborate 13th birthday party for Mr. O'Keefe's niece, correct?
Yes.
One of your children was actually invited to that.
Yes.
Did you actually go and accompany your child at the 13th birthday party?
I did not.
Did your wife?
I don't know. She generally keeps a social calendar for the kids, but I don't know if she did.
So it could have been a situation, Mr. Kolokithas, in which you just dropped the child off and
Yes, correct.
enjoyed the birthday party.
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. But you had no problems or no qualms with Ms. Read, Mr. O'Keefe being caretakers over your children.
Absolutely not.
You didn't socialize as couples all that often, but there were times in which you did socialize with them.
Yes.
About how many times would you say?
A handful of times, maybe,
Okay, 5 or 6?
if that.
Over the course of how long?
Since 2020 to 2022, 2 years, less than 2 years.
Your attention more toward the end of that time period that you just mentioned, for 2022, when you socialized with Ms. Read and Mr. O'Keefe, did you ever see any sort of tension between the two of them?
Not at all.
Did they seem like a normal, loving couple?
Absolutely.
They seemed like they were affectionate and normally affectionate with one another?
Absolutely.
Did you ever have any question about the nature of their relationship, any toxicity in the relationship, or any indicators that they weren't getting along?
Not to my knowledge, not at all.
Matter of fact, you spent more time with Mr. O'Keefe.
Yes.
Anybody else in the force of crowd?
Yes. Other than my wife, I'm forcibly.
Good catch. You're going to pay for that later. Fair enough.
I get brownie points for that, right?
Let me see if I can restate it a little bit better. Between Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Read, you spent more time with Mr. O'Keefe.
Yes.
Fair enough. You knew that Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Read had rekindled a previous relationship from years earlier.
Yes, I did.
You knew that Mr. O'Keefe was excited about that.
Yes.
I want to draw your attention to the late night hours of January 28th, going into the early morning hours of January 29th, if I could. Specifically at the waterfall. Did you get to the waterfall before Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Read got there?
Yes, I did.
How long before?
So I got there around 9, and they got there shortly before 11. 2 hours?
While at the waterfall, did you have an opportunity to speak with Ms. Read or Mr. O'Keefe just in normal conversation?
Yes, I did.
You engaged both of them, as a matter of fact, didn't you?
Yes.
Was there a time in which Ms. Read was actually singing John's praises that night?
Yes, I did.
What a great dad he was.
Yep.
Objection, move to strike.
I'm going to strike that. Next question.
At any point, did you have an opportunity to hear Mr. O'Keefe talk about Ms. Read and the nature of their relationship or any events surrounding their relationship?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
I had heard that they were planning vacations in the future.
Were you aware of the time frame of those vacations in the future? Next week, next month, next year?
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach?
Judge, feel free to stand up and stretch.
May I, Your Honor? Yes. Thank you. There was nothing eventful at the bar, while you were at the bar with Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Read, that comes to mind in terms of any kind of tension or fight that night?
Tension or fight? Absolutely not.
No argument that was audible to you?
Absolutely not.
You didn't see any body language between the two of them that would suggest an argument or fight or tension?
In fact, I noticed the opposite.
Describe that.
They were affectionate toward each other, loving toward each other, to the point where my wife even made a comment, why are you not like that with me?
You had something to live up to.
Yes, that's why I needed the brownie points earlier.
I want to shift gears for a second and pinpoint another time at the bar. Was there a time at the bar where you noticed any individuals with their fists up and engaged in some sort of conduct that looks a little like this?
No, I didn't observe that.
You don't recall that?
No,
Sparring with one another?
not that I saw.
Wrestling?
Not that I saw.
Okay. If I could, Mr. Kolokithas, with the court's permission, refer to Exhibit 53.
Okay.
There are several, Your Honor, so the clip ending in 5959. Can I play this for
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to play about 10 seconds, Mr. Kolokithas, and then stop it and ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
We could pause. I just wanted to play a couple of seconds to see if you recognize what's displayed in this video.
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
How do I I was there that night?
I guess my question is, do you recognize this as being a surveillance video from the 28th going into the morning of the 29th?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I want to draw your attention to the individuals that are toward the top. Okay. If I could draw your attention to the individuals at the top, can you name the folks that we're seeing and describe what they're wearing for the jurors so we kind of understand who we're looking at?
Okay. That's me in the white and black. That's Matt to my right. A little hard of seeing, but I think that's John right there. I thought I saw Karen earlier right in this area while you were displaying the video.
And what about the two gentlemen with their backs to us?
I know I met them that evening, but I can't tell from behind like this.
Understood. With court's permission, can we just go ahead and play this through? I'd like to run it through two about the runtime of 11:08, but I'll ask the video be paused momentarily.
11:08, so just one more second.
Runtime, sorry. Runtime 11:08, so probably about 4 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Thank you. Having seen this run forward just a little bit, do you see an individual here with long hair?
So
It's
you're
hard
squinting. Are you having difficulty?
Yes, I am having difficulty. Did you blow it up a bit? Or
I don't think so. Our technology is good, but I'm getting a shit in the head.
my eyes are not good, I can tell you that.
Let's play forward with court's permission.
All right, but if you can't see it, I don't want you to.
Are you talking right here?
Yes.
That looks like Karen.
Okay. Maybe play forward.
Yes.
Pause it. Can you describe what they're doing?
It looks like they're in the stance that you described earlier with fists up.
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach?
Okay, so I'm sustaining that objection to come out.
May I?
Yes.
Another question, and if you're having trouble seeing, just let me know. Do you see the person in the far right?
Yes, I do.
Who's that?
Me.
What do you seem to be, what do you appear to be looking at, if anything?
I appear to be looking in that direction.
Okay, can we go and play this forward? Do you recall engaging engaging with the two men in any sort of conversation, the two men with their backs facing to us?
I can see it. I honestly do not recall it. But
Okay. Do you recall ever being introduced to those two gentlemen?
Yes.
Who are they?
Brian Albert, Brian Higgins.
And which one is which, left and right?
Left is Albert, right is Higgins.
Can I draw your attention to the upper right? Do you recognize the person facing the camera in the upper right corner?
Yes, I do.
Who's that?
John O'Keefe.
4 seconds, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, we paused at 11:08. If I could ask a couple other questions, we can leave the lights down. We can ask another with court's permission. Another clip be played. Mr. Kolokithas, you indicated that you don't recall the events that you're seeing. Is that still the case, or has your recollection been refreshed about what you were?
I honestly don't remember what appears to be play fighting. I don't remember that.
If we could move to 36 with the court's permission.
Okay.
Okay. Your Honor, we can play 66. Do you see yourself in the upper right-hand corner?
Yes,
And do you see the two people, the two individuals, Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, in the foreground?
yes, I do.
Okay. At this point, I know it's difficult. Do you see John O'Keefe anywhere in the frame at this juncture?
I do not see him.
Okay. Take a look at the individual on the top of the screen. Do you see that person?
Yes, I do.
Who's that?
John O'Keefe.
What direction? Is he facing us or facing away from us?
He's facing us. It looks like he's facing us.
So he'd be facing the two individuals with their back to us?
Yes.
Okay. It appears to be standing across the table, across the bar table.
Yes.
With that, I would ask you who this individual is for the coat.
My wife.
Hanging on the coat?
It's my wife.
Okay. Are you still in the same spot, upper right-hand corner?
Yes, I am.
Where's Mr. O'Keefe?
Across. He's now facing the other way,
Thank you.
away from us.
Let me take this down. Okay. You just saw the second incident of what appeared to be two individuals touching each other. Did you engage in any sort of roughhousing or play fighting that night?
I did not.
Did you engage in any grappling or wrestling that night?
I did not.
Did you see John O'Keefe engage in any wrestling or grappling or play fighting?
I do not recall him doing that.
Or do you recall him doing any sparring?
I do not recall him doing that.
Do you recall him ever putting his fists up toward any other person in that bar that night?
I do not recall him doing that.
That's all I have for this question.
All right, any-
Just a moment. I'm sorry. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Lally, any follow-up?
Mr. Kolokithas, as far as your observations of Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Read in their relationship, you saw what they depicted in public, correct?
Yes.
So fair to say, did you ever have any sort of substantial conversations with either Mr. O'Keefe or Ms. Read about their relationship?
A personal relationship? No, I did not.
Anything as far as your personal relationship with your wife, is that something that you would have shared or discussed with Mr. O'Keefe or Ms. Read?
I'm not sure. Are you asking me if I knew something about their relationship I would share with my wife or vice versa?
So what I'm asking is from the other side. Okay, so you didn't discuss really Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Read's relationship with them, correct?
Correct.
So what I'm asking now is you didn't discuss your own relationship with your wife with Mr. O'Keefe or Ms. Read, correct?
That is correct.
With reference to what you were just shown up on screen, it was so memorable that you testified you don't have a memory of it, correct?
The which part?
The whatever that was between two individuals played out.
I do not recall that.
As far as yourself, within that video, did you observe yourself appear to be laughing while that was going on?
I did. I don't know if I was necessarily looking at them or the other side of the table, but yes, I did observe myself laughing.
You want me to wait for it?
Okay.
that Karen Read, quote, was actually singing John's praises about how good of a person he was, a father figure, for taking in the kids several years ago and, there for them and praising them and sacrificing his life to raise them, end quote. You remember saying that?
Yes, I do.
Is that true?
100%.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Mr. Kolokithas, you are all set, sir.
Thank you.
Your next witness, Mr. Lally?
Yes, Your Honor, call Miss Karina Kolokithas to the stand.
Okay.